There's this specific feeling you get when you walk into the lobby of a place like McKinsey or Deloitte.
Oh, yeah.
It's the marble floors, the hushed tones. It just projects this overwhelming sense of permanence. Like, governments might fall, but these firms will always be there telling everyone what to do.
It's designed that way, right? It's what we call the illusion of advisory permanence. We see the brand history. Some of them are a century old, and we just assume that equals structural integrity.
Right, that they're just invincible. But today, we're looking at a source that suggests this bedrock is basically turning into sand. We're doing a deep dive into a brand new dissertation preprint. It just dropped this month, February 2026. It's by a researcher named Erickson Tejam Katz, and the title is, honestly, a bit terrifying: The Thermodynamics of Advisory Dominance.
It's a heavy title, for sure, but the content is, well, it's explosive. Katz isn't arguing that these firms will fail because of a scandal or something.
No.
He's arguing they're failing because of physics.
Okay, stop right there. I have to push back on this. We're talking about management consulting. Slide decks, strategy meetings, billable hours. How do you apply thermodynamics to a PowerPoint? Is this just a fancy metaphor?
That's the million-dollar question. And reading through it, Katz is really adamant. This is not a metaphor. He's treating what he calls codified knowledge, the actual advice these firms sell, as a physical system with, physical limits.
So he's applying the laws of entropy to ideas.
Exactly. Think about the business model. A firm like McKinsey or Gartner, they don't just solve a problem once. That's not profitable.
Right.
To make real money, they have to take a solution, let's say a framework for digital transformation, and they have to scale it. Sell that same basic idea to 10,000 different clients.
You build the mousetrap once, you sell it 1,000,000 times. It's just good business.
It is, until you hit what he calls the advisory paradox. Because, Katz argues, knowledge isn't like a physical mousetrap. When you take a rigid framework and apply it to a new, messy, human context, the meaning of that framework, it starts to drift.
It drifts.
It creates semantic entropy.
Semantic entropy. Okay, let's ground this. Is this like the game of telephone? I whisper something to you, you whisper to the next person, and by the end, it's totally garbled.
That's a classic example, yeah. But in a billion-dollar firm, it's so much more dangerous. It's not just human error. It's a systematic decay of meaning. Let's take a word like agile.
Oh, agile, the classic buzzword.
Right. Now, if you talk to a software engineer, agile means a very specific set of rituals. Daily stand-ups, 2-week sprints. It's a rigid methodology. But then a consulting firm takes that agile framework and sells it to, I don't know, a marketing executive at a bank in London.
And to that marketing exec, agile probably just means we don't have a strict deadline or we can change our minds.
Exactly. The word is the same, but the meaning has drifted. And that gap, that's the entropy. Katz's argument is that when you scale that drift across millions of interactions, the knowledge just isn't knowledge anymore. It's noise.
So the firm thinks it's selling a best practice, but what it's actually selling is confusion.
And the paper claims that most of the major firms have already smashed past their physical limit. They're in what Katz calls a collapse regime.
Okay, before we get to the specific companies, and those numbers for Accenture are shocking, we need to understand the mechanics. The paper lays out this sort of dashboard for the collapse.
Yeah.
We've got 3 variables: recursion rate, semantic drift, and intervention capacity. Can we break those down?
Sure. Think of it like driving a car. The recursion rate, or that's your speed. It's how often a piece of knowledge is being deployed.
Okay.
Is your firm using this framework 10 times a year or 10 million times a year?
So recursion is the gas pedal.
Right. Then you have semantic drift. Delta, that's the wobble in the wheels, is how much the meaning changes every single time you use it.
And finally, intervention capacity.
That's your brakes, or maybe the steering wheel. Intervention capacity, or IC, is the firm's ability to catch the errors, to correct that drift, and, restore the original meaning.
So the crash happens when the speed is just too high for the brakes to handle.
Katz calls it critical velocity. And the source uses this brilliant analogy. Most consulting firms started out as bicycles.
Bicycles?
Yeah. Low speed, high control. In the old days, a senior partner would personally work with a client. It was slow, bespoke, very accurate. But then they all decided they wanted to fly. They wanted the speed of a jet.
But they didn't build a jet.
No. They just started pedaling that bicycle insanely fast. Instead of flying, The chain snaps, the tires melt, and the whole thing just disintegrates.
And the thing that made them pedal insanely fast, the thing that really pushed them over that edge, was AI, wasn't it?
That is the accelerant. The paper highlights the period between 2023 and 2025. These firms invested something like $30 billion in generative AI.
Do more with less. That was the pitch.
But according to the Thermodynamics, it was a total disaster. Because think about the equation. AI increases the recursion rate by a factor of like 1,000. You can generate a strategy doc in seconds, but it does not increase the intervention capacity.
Right, because you still need a human to check it, and humans didn't suddenly get 1,000 times faster at reading.
Exactly. The human ability to review those documents, to catch the nuance that stayed flat. So you have a machine spraying out insights at 1,000,000 miles an hour and a few humans trying to check it with a magnifying glass.
The paper actually has a stat on this that blew my mind. Traditionally, a framework was maybe deployed 10,000 times a year. With AI, it's 1,000,000 times a year.
And if your ability to correct errors doesn't scale up by 1,000,000 times, which it hasn't, you are mathematically guaranteeing that your output becomes garbage.
So let's get to the victims. The paper analyzes 6 firms. 5 of them are in deep trouble. Let's start with the gold standard, McKinsey.
The elite. Katz calculates their status at 64 at critical velocity.
Now, 64x sounds bad, but compared to the others, it's actually the lowest number. Why is McKinsey failing?
It's kind of tragic because it's a failure of their core model. McKinsey relies on that partner-to-consultant leverage. The smart partner teaches the associate, who teaches the analyst. It's an apprenticeship.
But wait, they hire the smartest people in the world? Rhodes Scholars, top of their class at Harvard. Shouldn't that raw brain power save them?
You would think so. But Katz argues that even elite talent fails against the physics of speed. Human learning happens on weekly, maybe monthly timescales. But AI deployment happens on hourly timescales.
So even if you hire Einstein, he can't correct errors faster than an algorithm can just pump them out?
Correct. The leverage breaks. The junior staff are using tools to generate work that the partners physically don't have the time to review. So the McKinsey way just gets diluted every single day.
Let's look at the biggest number on the board. This one. I actually gasped. Accenture.
The giant. Accenture is operating at 11,130 times critical velocity. It is the deepest collapse regime in the entire study.
Over 1,000 times the sustainable limit? How? How is Accenture so much worse than McKinsey?
One word. Acquisitions. Accenture is a machine that just eats other companies. They've bought over 100 of them. Digital agencies, cloud shops, AI startups.
So they're growing. That's good, right?
For revenue, yes. For meaning, it's a catastrophe. Think of it like the Tower of Babel. Each of those 100 companies comes with its own culture, its own language, its own definitions for everything.
I see. So if I'm an Accenture consultant from some digital agency they bought, and you're from a cloud firm they bought?
We might as well be from different planets. If we both talk about customer experience, I might mean a pretty website, and you might mean back-end database latency.
And you can't just integrate that.
You cannot semantically integrate that many worldviews across 750,000 employees. It's impossible. So the meaning just fragments. You have one logo, but inside it's 1,000 different dialects screaming at each other. The entropy is just off the charts.
Let's move to Deloitte. They're at 345x. Why does Katz flag them?
Because their entropy isn't from acquisitions. It's from a civil war inside the building. You have to remember what Deloitte is. Half the firm is audit. The other half is consulting.
I've never really thought of those as opposites. They're just corporate services.
They are philosophically violent opposites. I mean, think about the mindset. An auditor is a detective. Their job is skepticism. They look at a spreadsheet and ask, is this true? Prove it.
They're paid to be the brakes.
And the consultant is the gas pedal, the hype man. Their job is advocacy, growth at all costs. Katz argues you can't maintain a coherent semantic core when your left hand is paid to doubt everything and your right hand is paid to believe everything.
So when Deloitte puts out a report, which voice is speaking? The skeptical accountant or the visionary futurist?
That's the drift. The market doesn't know. And internally, this creates massive confusion. The definition of risk is completely different in the audit and strategy departments. It's a structural conflict that just generates noise.
Okay, what about the research firms? Gartner and Forrester. Everyone in tech treats the Magic Quadrant like scripture.
They do, and that's the problem. Gartner is at 376x critical velocity. The issue here is methodology drift. Clients want a Magic Quadrant for everything.
It used to be for servers and databases, right? Hard stuff.
Exactly. But now they want a Magic Quadrant for social media sentiment. When you stretch a tool designed to measure hard specs to measure soft feelings, the methodology just snaps.
And Forrester.
They're 237x. They have a more specific issue with the vendor revenue model. They rate vendors, but they also get paid by those same vendors. That creates a tension. It distorts the signal.
So we have this landscape of carnage, all these huge names, technically in a state of semantic collapse. But then the paper pivots. It highlights one anomaly, one company that defies the laws of physics. Bloomberg LP, the financial data giant. The source says they operate at, wait for it, 400,000 times critical velocity.
400,000 times.
Okay, hold on. We just spent 10 minutes saying 64x is fatal for McKinsey. How can Bloomberg operate at 400,000x and not just dissolve into a puddle of nonsense?
This is the most important part of the paper. It's the difference between evolution and architecture. McKinsey and Deloitte are pedaling a bicycle really, really hard. Bloomberg, they built a jet engine from day one.
What's the difference? Is it just faster computers?
It's not the hardware. It's the nature of the truth they sell. This is the external anchoring concept. If Bloomberg tells you the price of IBM stock is $150, they aren't offering an opinion.
It's a hard fact.
It's anchored in reality.
Yeah.
It's verifiable. And because the data is objective, they can automate the quality control. A computer can check if a stock price is wrong. A computer cannot check if a digital synergy strategy is wrong.
I see. So their intervention capacity, their ability to fix errors, it scales perfectly with their speed.
Exactly. If a price glitch happens, an algorithm catches it in microseconds, they don't need a committee meeting.
Yeah.
McKinsey corrects errors with methodology committees that take months. Bloomberg corrects with code that takes seconds.
Because they deal in facts, they can use machines to police the machines.
Yes. They match the speed of correction to the speed of creation. It's the only way to survive at high velocity.
But there's a warning for Bloomberg in the paper, too. They aren't perfectly safe.
No. And this is where it gets risky. The source notes that Bloomberg is starting to drift. They're expanding into news, into AI-driven insights, into sentiment analysis.
Which are vague. They're moving from facts to opinions.
Exactly. They are leaving the safety of external anchoring. As soon as they start selling opinions instead of prices, that 400,000x velocity stops being an asset and becomes a death sentence.
That's fascinating. So for the listener, what does this semantic hollowing actually look like? Are we going to see a going out of business sign on McKinsey's door?
No, and that's the tricky part. Katz isn't predicting bankruptcy. Semantic hollowing is more like a zombie state. The firm stays profitable, the revenue looks great.
But the inside is empty.
The meaning rots. Trust decays. Clients stop treating the advice as truth and start treating it as just another data point. The McKinsey report stops being the final word and starts being just some slides we got from those expensive guys.
It becomes a commodity.
A low-quality one. And the firms, they know this is happening. The paper mentions they're frantically trying to fix it with quality reviews.
But the math just doesn't work.
It's the quality management fallacy. If your AI-augmented firm is doing 28,000 deployments a year and your human committee can review maybe 200 of them,
you're reviewing less than 1%.
Exactly. 99.3% of your output goes uncorrected. You can't fix a computational speed problem with human speed tools. It's like trying to bail out the Titanic with a teacup.
So we're moving into an era where advisory dominance is, well, it's basically over. Or at least the era where we could blindly trust the big names is.
I think we're moving from an era of trust the brand to trust the physics. This whole framework, it's like a radar system. It shows us that speed has a cost, and that cost is coherence.
It really makes you rethink the last few years of AI will change everything. It is changing everything, just not how we thought. It's not making us smarter. It's making us faster at being incoherent.
If you don't have the architecture to handle the speed, yes, it just accelerates the entropy. It speeds the ride.
So let's bring this home for the listener. Whether you're a freelancer, a manager, what do you do with this information?
You have to become a semantic filter. When you see a piece of advice, a framework, a best practice, you have to look past the logo at the top of the slide.
Right. Don't assume it's true just because it came from a marble lobby.
Ask yourself, is this insight anchored in reality? Is it like the Bloomberg stock price verifiable and hard? Or is it just semantic entropy? Is it just the echo of 1,000 other echoes generated by an AI and dressed up in a nice font?
In a world of infinite speed, the most valuable thing you can have is a filter for what's actually real.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been a mind-bending look at the physics of business. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Always a pleasure.